What's up, everyone? Mr. NoobTube Gamer, giving you guys another Modern Warfare 2019 gameplay commentary. Today we're playing Team Deathmatch on St. Petrograd, and in this commentary we're going to be focusing on Modern Warfare 2, the sequel to Modern Warfare 2019 that's going to come out in 2022. Now, there have been a few reports coming out over the past few weeks confirming that we are going to in fact have Modern Warfare 2 next year, but I'm sure for most people that was kind of obvious that that was the direction they were headed in when we got Modern Warfare 2019. Of course they were going to make sequels. I'm pretty sure we're going to get a Modern Warfare 3 also in 2025, I guess. Just like Treyarch with the Black Ops series, Infinity Ward is going to milk the Modern Warfare series as much as they possibly can and get as much money as they can out of Modern Warfare, because whenever they do anything that's not Modern Warfare, it doesn't work out so well for them, like Infinite Warfare and Ghosts. It's crazy to think that the original plan for 2019 was Infinite Warfare 2. That's what Infinity Ward wanted to do, that's what they were planning on doing, but since a lot of COD players rejected Infinite Warfare, and it didn't sell nearly as well as the other games, like Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, Activision was like, nah, you guys gotta go back to Modern Warfare, so that's why we got Modern Warfare 2019 instead of Infinite Warfare 2. And even going back further, the original plan in 2016, instead of Infinite Warfare, it was supposed to be Ghost 2. But since Ghost had very disappointing sales, the sequel was canceled and they did Infinite Warfare instead. So the big takeaway is that whenever Infinity Ward makes a Call of Duty game that's not Modern Warfare, they're not nearly as successful. So that's why we got Modern Warfare 2019, that's why we're gonna get Modern Warfare 2, we're gonna get Modern Warfare 3, and we're probably even gonna get Modern Warfare 4 and Modern Warfare 5. It's either that or in 2035 we get a Modern Warfare reboot. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened, because Modern Warfare 2019 is the best-selling game in all of Call of Duty history, which it's very painful for me to admit that, but it's true. Modern Warfare 2019 is the most successful game in the entire history of COD. And that's even if you don't count Warzone. So obviously they're going to try to capitalize off of that. You know, a big complaint about Modern Warfare is that a lot of people felt like the game didn't have enough support. Like after a year, they just abandoned it. And that's usually how it goes with Call of Duty. The new game comes out, the old game is no longer supported. But a lot of people were really hoping that Modern Warfare would get more maps, more weapons, more updates, even after Cold War was out. And there was a lot of disappointment when that did not happen. There's definitely a lot of sentiment in the Call of Duty community that Activision is just so far behind the times. They haven't adapted to the modern gaming climate where you have these big live service games that last for many years, like a CSGO or a Rainbow Six Siege, Overwatch. Like, you have way longer than a year of support like you do in the COD games. People are feeling like Call of Duty should stop doing the annual releases and should be more like a CSGO or even Overwatch, where you're not getting a sequel very often. I mean, Overwatch 2 is coming, but that's not for another year, so that would be, what, like 6 years after the original game? People want Call of Duty to kind of be like that, where you're not having games every single year, and the game that you do get lasts for at least 3, 4, 5 years. But that's just never gonna happen. We're gonna keep getting the annual COD releases year in and year out until they're not making money anymore. But what they're doing right now, the way they're monetizing Call of Duty, is working great for Activision. They haven't made more money with Call of Duty than they are right now. Between Warzone, COD Mobile, and all the annual COD releases, Activision is making bank. And you can complain about the annual releases all you want, but the fact of the matter is, people keep buying the games every single year. Some games sell better than others, but still, they're making a lot of money releasing games every year as opposed to every 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. That's just the reality. So I predict that with Modern Warfare 2, the same thing's gonna happen, where as soon as 2023 comes around and Treyarch's next game is released, they're gonna no longer support Modern Warfare 2. We're not gonna get any more maps. We're not going to get any more updates, because at that point, Activision would have made all their money off of Modern Warfare 2, and their only concern at that point would be for you to buy Cold War 2, or whatever the next Treyarch game is going to be called. And if they keep supporting Modern Warfare while the Treyarch game is out, that's going to take sales away from the Treyarch game, so they're not going to do that, because what they're doing now is working very, very well. Whether you like it or not, that's just how it is. So as far as Modern Warfare 2 goes, that's one of my big predictions, that we're not going to get any support beyond 1 year. By 2023, by November of 2023, the game's going to be done. And I also predict that Modern Warfare 2 is not going to be the last game in the Modern Warfare reboot series. We're definitely going to get a Modern Warfare 3. And this goes into another prediction I have, that Modern Warfare 2 will outsell Modern Warfare 2019. Even though the first Modern Warfare had a lot of haters, including myself, I hate this game a lot. Like, I really don't like playing it. It's my least favorite COD of all time. And there are a lot of people that feel the same way as I do, but regardless of that, I still think that Modern Warfare 2 is going to sell more than Modern Warfare 2019 and will become the new best-selling COD of all time. I just think the hype around this game is going to be so crazy. It already is. I already see a whole bunch of people on Twitter hyping this game up, even though Vanguard is like a couple weeks away. There are a lot of people that have more hype for Modern Warfare 2 than COD Vanguard. And that just makes sense because not only was the first Modern Warfare game well received by a lot of people and sold very well, but the name Modern Warfare 2 is so iconic because it brings people back to the 2009 game that pretty much defined the entire series. Like, Modern Warfare 2 was probably the most important game in the history of COD, besides COD 4, obviously. But I really feel like Modern Warfare 2 was the game that put the Call of Duty series to the next level. And even though the reboot is going to be a lot different than the original MW2, people are still going to buy the game just off the name alone. Just it being called Modern Warfare 2 is going to convince people to buy it. I guarantee you that. As far as the game itself and how the game is actually going to play, I think about a year ago I made a wish list of all things I want to see in Modern Warfare 2. Like, I said that I want the gameplay to be less campy, I want the maps to be designed a little bit better. I also said I wanted score streaks instead of kill streaks and skill-based matchmaking to be gone, but I know most of those things are not going to happen. So for this video, I'm just going to be talking about predictions of things that I think we're going to get instead of what I want. And what I think we're going to get is not a game that's very different from the first game. Like, the gunplay and the engine, the overall feel of the game is going to be very, very similar to the original Modern Warfare, which, you know, is not a bad thing, I guess, because it is supposed to be a sequel to that game. But I think for anyone that did not like the gameplay of the original Modern Warfare 2019, they're probably not going to like this game either. I also don't think there are going to be too many enhancements over the original game, as some people might expect, because I said in another prediction video that I think that Modern Warfare 2 is actually going to be on the last-gen consoles, on the PS4 and Xbox One. So if that's true, they're not going to really be able to do much innovation because they're going to be held back quite a bit by the old technology. There's some things we can get, like the destructible doors that we have in COD Vanguard, and they're probably going to also bring in the destructible walls that Vanguard also has, so you're going to have some destructibility added in there, I think. But beyond that, I don't think that Modern Warfare 2 is going to be a very different game. Like, as opposed to, like, if you compare Call of Duty 4 to Modern Warfare 2, those games are very, very different. The balancing is different, the way the games feel are very different. I don't think that's going to be the same case when you compare Modern Warfare 2019 to Modern Warfare 2022. Kind of like what happened between Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3. Those games play very similar to each other, you know, with some balancing changes. So we might have some of that in Modern Warfare 2. Maybe Dead Silence will be a perk. But then again, it's not a perk in Vanguard, and Vanguard was released 2 years after Modern Warfare 2019, and a lot of people complained. That was like people's biggest complaint about the balancing, was Dead Silence not being a perk, and the footsteps being so fucking loud, and it just ruined the flow of the game and made it so beneficial for campers, because they could hear your footsteps and they can see you coming from a mile away, like if they're camping in a building. But considering that there are a lot of changes that people want to see from Modern Warfare 2019, and that Vanguard has most of Modern Warfare 2019's balancing intact, that's not a good indicator for what 2022 is going to be like for the next Modern Warfare. Of course, we're going to see some changes. Like, it's not going to be exactly the same as Modern Warfare 2019, but I also don't think it's going to be as different as people might hope for it to be, especially for the old school COD players. I think the biggest changes we'll see will actually be for Ground War. I think Ground War is going to have more destructibility than the first Modern Warfare game, which didn't really have any destructibility in Modern Warfare 2019. But I think they're going to try to replicate the battlefield experience for Ground War in Modern Warfare 2022. I think we're going to see jets, we're going to see more vehicles than we had in the first one. Like, it's going to try to be as close to Battlefield as they possibly can. And they're going to try to take players away from Battlefield. Is that going to work? I don't know, but I feel like that's what they're going to do. Because of how successful the first Ground War was, they're definitely going to want to expand upon that. And I also think that Zombies is going to replace Spec Ops, and the Zombies will be developed by Treyarch like they are in Vanguard right now. I think Zombies is probably going to bring in a lot more players than Spec Ops ever could, so I think they're going to try to capitalize off of that. Not a whole lot of people played Spec Ops in Modern Warfare 2019 anyway, so I guess that wouldn't be a huge loss. But yeah, those are my main predictions for Modern Warfare 2. I think it's going to get released on November 11th, 2022, so Veterans Day next year, and it's going to be a big deal. And I think that Call of Duty is going to do really well next year because they're not going to have a lot of competition in the FPS market like they are this year with Halo and Battlefield both coming out at the same time, there's a lot more breathing room. And like I said earlier, just the name MW2 is going to sell a shit ton of copies. Definitely going to be a lot of MW2 nostalgia bait. Like, we're going to get the Intervention, the ACR, a lot of those classic MW2 weapons and classic MW2 maps like Terminal. I think that's a given. So that'll probably boost sales also. As well as there being a last-gen version of Modern Warfare 2, which I said earlier I also think is going to happen. Because if the game is a current-gen exclusive, I don't think the game would sell well at all. Between the chip shortage and the supply chain problems, I don't think the consoles will have a very wide adoption rate by this time next year. So there will definitely be a PS4 and Xbox One version of that game, is how I strongly feel. It probably won't be as good. Like, they're probably going to cut ground war and cut certain features, kind of like the PS3 and 360 version of Black Ops 3. But I am confident that a last-gen version of Modern Warfare 2 will happen. And because of that, I think it will be the best-selling COD ever. Let me know, are you guys excited for Modern Warfare 2? And what changes would you like to see happen from the first game? And also let me know if you agree or disagree with the predictions I made in this video. But that's all I got for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.